Hi, my name is Juan Madero, and I'm a student of Applied Physics at the University of Texas at El Paso and an aspiring entrepreneur.
And I'm Alexis Chavez, a business student at the University of Texas at El Paso.
As an aspiring entrepreneur, I've learned about the many ways in which government regulations hurt businesses of all sizes and industries. That got me thinking about the Federal Communications Commission's recent decision to repeal net neutrality regulations. Under net neutrality, the Internet is treated as a public utility, which means that it is covered by Title II of the 1934 Communications Act. This legislation forbids service providers from discriminating between different users of a public utility.
This seemed very intrusive on the government's part when we first learned about it, and we were shocked to learn that the business community is divided on the topic of net neutrality regulations, with content providers like Netflix supporting net neutrality regulations and ISPs or internet service providers like Verizon supporting its repeal.
After conducting our research on the topic, we determined that net neutrality is actually a strong net benefit to the continued growth and innovation of the Internet because of the level playing field that it creates for content providers, promotes competition, and keeps ISPs from having too much power over content providers and Internet users. Under net neutrality, ISPs like Verizon and Spectrum are forced to treat all Internet traffic equally, whereas otherwise they might create fast and slow lanes at will.
Now, net neutrality opponents such as FCC Chairman Ajit Pai claimed this did not happen prior to the 2015 implementation of net neutrality, and that this will not happen after its repeal. He restated this in a recent interview with Reason.
What is something, pulling back Title II, what is something that an ISP or an internet company can do that they wouldn't be able to do as easily under Title II?
Well, nothing in my view, because if you look at the record that the FCC had on the books in 2015, internet service providers were not willy-nilly blocking traffic and throttling traffic. To the contrary, these were all phantoms that were conjured up by people who wanted the FCC for political reasons to overregulate the internet. And so going forward, if we go back to the rules as they were previously, we are not going to see this parade of horribles that we are sure to hear about in the next coming weeks.
However, we know for a fact that ISPs were creating fast and slow lanes for internet traffic to benefit themselves prior to the imposition of net neutrality regulations in 2015 by the Obama administration. In one such instance, Comcast used its ability to control internet traffic to slow the download speeds of Netflix streaming services to gain leverage over Netflix in negotiations in late 2013. And then increased the speed of Netflix streaming services dramatically after Netflix gave in to their demands.
However, the repeal of net neutrality is not only a problem for established companies such as Netflix, it also creates a higher barrier to entry for small startups trying to get a foothold in the industry. During his recent hearing before Congress, Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg declared that such throttling behavior from ISPs would have prevented Facebook from being able to grow in its early stages.
And I know net neutrality has been a hotly debated topic, and one of the reasons why I have been out there saying that I think that should be the case is because I look at my own story of when I was getting started building Facebook at Harvard. I only had one option for an ISP to use, and if I had to pay extra in order to make it so that my app could potentially be seen or used by other people, then we probably wouldn't be here today.
Okay. And Zuckerberg isn't the only one that recognizes the threat that the repeal of net neutrality poses for early-stage startup companies. His words were echoed by the National Venture Capital Association. In a mid-2017 letter to FCC Chairman Ajit Pai, they stated, quote, "On behalf of our nation's venture capital investors and the entrepreneurs they support, we write to express our strong support for robust net neutrality rules that allow startups to compete on a level playing field. Net neutrality protections provide venture capitalists with confidence to make bold investments in technology and internet startups that support economic growth, create American jobs, and lead to technological advancement."
That's why governors and state legislatures from states such as New York, Montana, and Washington have begun to fight back against the federal repeal of net neutrality by implementing their own versions of net neutrality protections at the state level. Some DC lawmakers have been pushing to reinstate net neutrality at the federal level through legislative means. Therefore, we urge you to use whatever influence you may have to pressure your representatives to support and fight for net neutrality, and do what you can to educate others about the crucial role that net neutrality plays in our digital economy.
We are hopeful that this film will help illustrate how both established internet juggernauts like Netflix and early-stage startups are better able to innovate and grow under the protection of net neutrality, and that this will lead to the re-implementation of net neutrality in the United States of America.